There are life lessons that don't need repetition to be understood. You don't need to experience the same blow twice to know it hurts. One clear moment of betrayal, one situation where everything becomes obvious, should be enough to shift the way you decide who you keep close to you. And yet, many people do something very different. They see it, they feel it, they understand it, and still they return to it. They soften it in their minds. They justify it. They minimize it. They tell themselves it was a misunderstanding, a mistake, a one-time event, something that doesn't define the person. But deep down, they already know the truth. Because ignoring what is obvious is not loyalty, it is denial. And denial always comes at a cost. One of the hardest truths to accept is that people do not change because of promises. They change because of boundaries. A promise can be spoken in a moment. A boundary is revealed through behavior over time. And when someone crosses a line without hesitation, without concern, without awareness of impact, they are showing you something very important. They are showing you how far they are willing to go. Not once, not by accident, but by choice. The real issue is that many people refuse to accept it. They soften it, they reinterpret it, they convince themselves it wasn't that serious. Because accepting the truth would require action, and action often brings discomfort. But there is something even more subtle happening underneath all of this. Not all damage arrives loudly. Some of it arrives disguised. Some signs are not subtle at all, but they are treated as if they are. They are labeled as isolated mistakes, small exceptions, unfortunate moments. So they don't have to be recognized for what they truly are, patterns. And that distinction is critical, because a single mistake can be human, but a repeated pattern, when ignored, becomes direction. And direction, over time, becomes destiny. Not because life is predetermined, but because what you tolerate repeatedly becomes the structure of your experience. It is not bad luck, it is a lack of decision, and that is where many people unknowingly stay stuck. Then comes one of the most misunderstood concepts in emotional life: forgiveness. Forgiveness is often confused with return, with access, with the restoration of everything as it was before. But they are not the same thing. Forgiving does not mean reintegrating someone into your life. That confusion has destroyed more dignity than almost anything else. Because letting go of resentment is internal work. It is about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of what happened. But reopening your life to someone who has already shown they do not respect it is something completely different. That is a decision about boundaries, not emotions. And confusing the two leads people back into cycles they already learned from. Another difficult truth is that self-deception often causes more harm than the original betrayal. Because while the other person is acting according to who they are, you are the one choosing to stay in a place where reality has already revealed itself. You are the one deciding to override your own clarity. And every time that happens, something internal weakens, not suddenly, not dramatically, but gradually. Your judgment, your trust in yourself, your ability to recognize patterns early. And that is why character is not defined by what you say about your standards. It is defined by what you allow to be repeated in your life, not in theory, but in reality. Every time you justify what should not be justified, you lower your own threshold for what you accept. And slowly, what once felt unacceptable begins to feel normal. That is how boundaries dissolve, not in one moment, but in repeated compromises. There is a simple truth that can cut through all of this. You do not need to drink the whole sea to know it's salty. You don't need endless repetition to recognize what something is. One moment of clarity is enough. The question is whether you trust it. Because recognizing something is one thing, but acting on that recognition is where everything changes. And that requires courage. Not the loud kind, not the dramatic kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that allows you to accept what you already know, without trying to rewrite it into something easier to live with. Because sometimes the real betrayal is not what someone else did to you. It's what you do to yourself when you stay in a place where everything has already been revealed, and you choose to ignore it again and again, until it becomes part of your life. And by then, it no longer feels like a choice. It feels like normality. But it never started that way. If you love this video, make sure to like this and subscribe to this channel for more content like this.